Welcome to the Dead Pine Archives. My name is Dan, and I am here with my co-hosts, Kelly and Neil.
Hello.
Hi.
And today, Neil has a story to tell us.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. All right. So, as we alluded to in our mini Quay episode.
Sorry, all I hear is Quazy Quay.
Please stop doing that.
Listen, it's not my fault. It's
Please
Neil.
stop doing that.
It was, the episode itself overall was Quay.
Oh, my Lord.
You deserve that. That's the reaction.
I don't know if anyone can hear, probably not, but there is my daughter crying in the background. So, on that note, we alluded last week in our mini Quay episode to the rough waters of the Great Lakes of Michigan. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
What the heck is a hadoo?
I don't know.
Boo. Proceed.
Oh, my goodness.
On the northern coast of Michigan's Upper Peninsula lies a notorious 80-mile stretch of shoreline from Munising to Whitefish Point, where 550 major shipwrecks have been recorded, earning its title as Lake Superior's Shipwreck Coast. Of the 550 recorded shipwrecks lying on the bottom of the lake, at least 200 of them are in the vicinity of Whitefish Point. It's fair to say that hundreds of lives were lost in these waters, but from numerous accounts, a handful of seafaring specters found their way back to shore.
Ooh.
I know, right? All right, so we're talking about ghosts of Whitefish Point today.
I'm very interested to hear about all of that. The last time I was up in Lake Mackinac, which is right before Superior, for anyone listening, they have that bend, where like the mitten, forms at the top. And they were talking about how there was a lot of shipwrecks that happened there because it's shallow. Like, it's really shallow. And so, people would try and, do the curve, and they get too close, and they would, hit the ground, basically. And so we went to, a lighthouse there, and they had, the foghorn and everything, and they were explaining it all. But I was like, oh.
So this is actually the other side of the UP, right?
Yes.
But it's very similar in the sense that if you look at Michigan's Upper Peninsula on a map, from the east side, when you're coming through, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but when you're coming through the Sioux Locks, which the ships do, Whitefish Point sticks out a little bit, but it's where you round around the top of the Upper Peninsula in Lake Superior.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, and that's one end of the Shipwreck Coast, and the other is another point. Speaking of Lake Superior, some fun facts about Lake Superior. It is the largest freshwater lake in the world. It holds 10% of the world's freshwater.
Damn.
And they're trying to pollute it.
Always. Somebody is.
Can't have anything good.
I know. The deepest point in Lake Superior is about 407 meters or a quarter of a mile deep.
Which, when you say it like that, I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. But then I actually have to think about how far down a quarter of a mile would be. And I'm like,
literally.
oh.
I have no concept of distance or depth. So when you say a quarter of a mile, I'm like, yeah, what is that, 4 feet?
I mean, even if you think about how big a block is, if you're on the corner of a block of suburbia.
Sure.
If you're on the corner and you lay down and your feet are facing the rest of the block, and then you look down at your feet and then you look all the way past to where the block ends, that's insanely deep.
Yeah, you're
I mean, it is and it isn't, but anything over 5'5" and I'm toast.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's actually that's a really good way to visualize it and bring some context, right? Because numbers I have no context for, but they just sound large. So the lake itself covers an area of 31,700 square miles.
oh, is this Lake Superior?
Yes.
Do you have that random fact about the Grand Canyon?
No.
There's one. Hang on. Let me look it up.
Look it up.
For realsies, but it's crazy. Okay, so I looked it up, and it's not just Lake Superior. It's all 5 lakes. But if you were to take the water out of the Great Lakes and you would pour it into the Grand Canyon, it would fill up the Grand Canyon and then submerge the rest of the country.
Oh, man.
Or, sorry, continent.
Oh, the whole
The
continent.
continent. It would submerge the entire continent.
So all of North America.
Yes. So, yeah, I remember hearing that about they were like, oh, yeah, if you were to take it and put it in the Grand Canyon, it would fill up the Grand Canyon and then the rest of the continent. That's how much water is in there.
That's wild. Okay. So that 31,700 square miles number is, for our outside of the U.S. possible listeners, it is 51,016 square kilometers.
It makes less sense to me, but yeah,
Sure,
that
sure,
sounds
sure.
like an awful lot of water.
So what, if anything, do you know about shipwrecks in Lake Superior?
I know a little bit. I went on a boat shipwreck tour one time. I know that it's very, very cold. So some of the ships that are down there are actually like intact. And if you were to take them out of the water, they would like disintegrate.
Yes, very true. So Lake Superior is, it's run off from a glacier, but because it's so vast, it never freezes through.
Yeah.
Or very rarely if it does. Unlike the other lakes that do freeze over. So, but yeah, that's also true. A lot of these shipwrecks are still intact, and the cold waters of Lake Superior have kept them that way, but moving them because they are so old and the water is what's been
Preserving it.
exactly.
Yeah, I think in the same tour, which I will say, if you do go to the UP at any point, I do recommend going on those tours. They they're fun and everything, but you do learn some really cool random stuff. But along with the ships, there are forests in the bottom of Lake Superior that, over time it became the lake, but they are literally petrified in time. I don't know if you had that in your notes. You probably did, but
I actually didn't. I was going
yeah.
to. That was something I came across in my research that I was like, there's more on that we could do another episode
yeah,
on.
definitely. There is so much to get into that.
Everything in the UP. There's so many stories to
and
tell.
I'm pretty sure, is it in Lake Superior where it's the Michigan Triangle, where it's
So there are conflicting reports of what exactly the Michigan Triangle is.
Oh, okay.
Old ones from the 70s had to do with Lake Superior. Ones past 1974 all say that the Michigan Triangle is actually in Lake Michigan.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it goes from I forgot, one of the northern cities in Wisconsin to
That's not in Michigan.
right. But it's in Lake Michigan, so on the west side of the state. How about you, Kelly?
I have never taken any sort of tour of Lake Superior. I do know that Lake Superior is a vengeful lady that has taken many, many lives and many ships and is always hungry for more. But pretty much the same thing that I had always heard, that it is so cold that it has everything so well preserved. I can't help but think of when people talk about how it's keeping everything down there so well preserved that if you tried to remove everything, it would just disintegrate. It reminds me of the silly sand from the 90s, where you pour it into a fish tank and it's look at it, makes little structures, and up you pull it out and it's sand.
I mean, weirdly enough, great comparison.
Thank you. I thought so.
Yeah, we had gone to a shipwreck museum, but it was in Mackinac, so it wasn't quite the same. But even that, those ships are huge and they would just sink all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
For any reason. Lots of fires. Weirdly enough.
With very little provocation. They can't wait to cosplay as submarines.
They do. And then they're like, this is me now. This is who I am.
All right, so we're going to go on a little bit of an adventure here because I feel like to get to the stories of ghosts at Whitefish Point, we have to talk about the Shipwreck Coast in a larger sense, right? And then from there, get to the time we're talking about, because really a lot of these happened around the same time as Minnie Quay. So in the 1850s is...
What if his ship had gone to Lake Superior?
Right, and I'm sure he did. That sailor could have been on one of these ships that sunk in Lake Superior.
And I wish they had like the name of the boat he was on so that we could have been like, guess what?
Guess what? Honestly, that would be, I don't know. There's
We
no
could
way to
lie.
find that. Yeah,
We could lie.
We're going to make up that. You know what? We'll pick one of the ships today and say, oh, that was Minnie Clay's boyfriend.
His name
I was going to say, and we still don't even know his name.
Oh, okay, all right. Continue on.
All right. So when we talk about shipwrecks on Lake Superior, the most notable and song-worthy is the 1975 loss of the steamer Edmund Fitzgerald. Her entire crew of 29 has become a worldwide legend. The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald lies just 15 miles northwest of Whitefish Point. Rest in peace, Gordon Lightfoot, who was the singer of that song. Another little fun fact about that, and just because I thought it was fun, there's a line in his song of the Edmund Fitzgerald that says, quote, "In a musty old hall in Detroit, they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald," right? So when Gordon Lightfoot died on May 1st in Toronto, the Mariners Church in Detroit, which is a real place and is still around, it's right on Jefferson. Yeah, right on Jefferson between the Rensen and Hart Plaza. The day after
The day after Edmund Fitzgerald died.
Crazy.
The day after Gordon Lightfoot died, it rang its bell 30 times, 29 times for the crew of the Edmund Fitzgerald, plus one more for him.
That's
very sweet.
it is very sweet.
And I just think it's like really cool to tie, like how this ties,
I know what church you're talking about. I'm pretty
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
It's beautiful on the outside, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Beautiful church.
I've never been inside it, so I don't know how it looks inside. It might be ugly. Who knows? Highly doubt, but
Right.
I did just look it up. It does look nice.
I want to see pictures. Let me see. All right, I'll describe it in detail. There's a lot. Oh, yep. There's wood and a floor. There's some stained glass. That's not that. Oh, that's a far away picture of the church. Okay, it's blocky a little bit. There's some clouds in the sky.
People have Google. This part is not necessary.
I think they enjoy me describing what I've seen.
Write into the email and let us know if in lieu of a search engine, you just want Danielle to describe the images to you.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
The special episodes.
We could also post some pictures on like Instagram or something, right?
Oh, yeah, we can do that too. Okay. Or I could be like, oh, look at a Patreon, and I will just sit there for an hour and describe a picture. Don't you dare. Son of a bitch.
So, all right. So Lake Superior has always been used for trade. And when I say always, I mean indigenous people used it for millennia, where they trade with other tribes, in canoe on the lake. But that gave way to their trade with the early European settlers in the 1700s. But it really became a hotspot for shipping vessels in the mid 1800s, right? So around the time of Minique, in 1855, the first Sioux locks were opened, bringing massive ships to Lake Superior. So what do you two know how the locks work, the Sioux locks work?
In theory.
You are my friend, and I would never have you assume that I remember even a quarter of the things I learned in elementary school.
See,
It was required learning in Michigan.
that's true.
That is required learning. You learn about the water cycle and you learn about the Great Lakes. You have no choice.
And you take one swim class
Do
sometimes.
not remember.
Right.
You get your boater's license when you're in middle school, and God help you.
SpongeBob could never.
SpongeBob could never. Yeah, okay, so the locks, what they are is they're like a way to connect boats across two waterways, right? And if you have like very large boats, what you have to do is you'll have a boat come in on the one waterway, lock a gate behind it, fill that with more water to raise the boat to the next water.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the Sioux locks, and the first one of those was built in 1855, which allowed these like massive ships to get into Lake Superior for trade.
1855 was the first that was built in Michigan.
The first of the Sioux locks.
Oh, of the Sioux. Okay, I was like, interesting.
But the Sulaks are a direct lake gateway that brings you into Lake Superior, rounding at Whitefish Point and going down the Shipwreck Coast. Okay. So, fun fact, can either of you, drawing on our Michigander public school knowledge, what do you think we traded with both Indigenous tribes, Canadians, and what were we trying to get on those ships out of the UP?
Well, from my last story, I would feel lumber, but I feel like they might have that. So I don't know if that's what we would be trading. I assume like tools.
The lions.
The line.
The Detroit Lions?
Yeah, I panicked. Little did you know, we actually traded the Detroit Lions long ago. They are not ours.
We're actually not talking about the football team. It's the Detroit Lions were indigenous to the UP.
P.T. Barnum didn't kill them all.
No, so and this is something that goes into like a lot of other lore that we will say for another podcast, but iron ore and copper mining in the UP was our most valuable exports.
Oh,
so,
that's right.
Okay,
There's
that
all the
makes sense.
quarries are up north. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of ghost town ones too. They're paying a visit.
Future episode.
that's all. Honestly, I'm going through this and like touching on things, but as I was doing my research for this episode, I was like, okay, this is a separate thing. Like, I won't include this. This is a separate episode. This is a separate episode. There's so much to unpack. But now that we've done pop quiz with Neil,
And we failed. I didn't even study.
I do want to talk about how, okay, so it's like the 1850s. The locks were just built. This coastline is notoriously dangerous, but it's also very busy with all of these trade ships.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing stuff up and down across the state, back through the Sioux Locks to get down towards Detroit, and then from Detroit, wherever, right? So we're going to start with one story that just shows how dangerous this time was on Lake Superior in the Shipwreck Coast.
Sure.
And though it's not technically a ghost story, I do think it's fun.
Okay.
So, Kelly,
Oh, me.
will you read us the story of the man who never smiled again?
Absolutely.
That sounds so sad.
Well, see, and I immediately took it to be much more sinister. I'm just like, it's like the smiling man, but like, not.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a story about Slenderman.
He can't smile. He doesn't have a mouth.
He's smiling on the inside.
Okie doke.
Smiles with his eyes.
The man who never smiled again. The shipping lanes of Lake Superior have always been treacherous, but in the early days, before radar, radios, or satellites, they were downright murderous. The vast, cold expanse of the lake held secrets beneath its waves, jagged reefs lying in wait like teeth, sudden storms that tore the sky asunder, and unseen hands that seemed to drag vessels under with a cruel, deliberate hunger. Many who dared sail those cursed waters never returned. The Independence was one of them. It was April 21st, 1853, when the Independence departed Sault Ste. Marie, groaning under the weight of winter supplies bound for the isolated settlements scattered along Lake Superior's western shore. She was a proud little steamer, the first of her kind to conquer the lake's icy domain. But soon after departing, the boiler erupted in a deafening roar. Flames and steam tore through the ship's core as the Independence was ripped apart from within. In a matter of moments, she was gone. 4 men lost their lives that day, but the lake did not take them all. The body of Amos Stiles was cast skyward in the explosion. He crashed down into the frigid water, the breath nearly driven from his lungs, the cold eager to finish what the fire had begun. As the black waves threatened to swallow him, his hand found salvation. A bale of hay, bobbing eerily amid the charred remnants of the ship. Clinging to it with frozen fingers, he floated there, adrift in a graveyard of steam and smoke, surrounded by the lake's latest victims. The sailor was not safe yet. The current swept Stiles a half-mile through churning rapids, where he bounced over rocks and fought to keep his head above water. Having escaped death twice within a very short time, Stiles was eventually pulled from the water and saved. Some say it was nerve damage suffered from his traumatic experience, while others claim it was the terrible memories he carried from the wreck when he saw his shipmates go under and narrowly escaped death himself. But for whatever reason, Amos Styles wore a permanent frown from that day onward and became known in Lake Superior lore as the man who never smiled again. The Independence had made history as the first steamship on Lake Superior. Now, she made it again as the first steamship the lake devoured.
I told you things were always on fire.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, boats are always on fire.
Can we talk
What
about
kind of hell?
how absurd, right? So, like, I mean, this is 1850s, you know, like, oh, we're bringing the first steamship to Lake Superior, you know, and they're going like out of Sault Ste. Marie, like there's a bay, like harbor there, right? So they're going out, and they're out like first steamship, here we are, and just like so soon into their journey, just boom, it explodes, and they're like, what? And it's cartoonish, right?
How dare you give me a story where a man was blown into the sky, literally, and
I was gonna say you didn't do it, and I was wondering when it was gonna come.
well, because
about.
I had to make sure if he had died and I did that noise, I would have felt terrible. Didn't die, but whoa, how dare
will
you?
not kill him, but you know
It will not kill him.
that is insane though, and honestly, he probably got a bunch of nerve damage, and that's why he didn't smile. But also terrible nightmares.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my god.
So the river he went down, like that the current swept him into, those rapids were called the Boiling Rapids because of how fierce
Because
they
it
were.
looked like it was boiling water.
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah, so you get your ass blown off a ship.
Yeah.
And then you're in the frigid cold waters. And you're like, oh, God, a hay bale. Like, this will be my salvation. And then it's like, oh, no, not the Boiling Rapids.
Literally. That sounds literally like a cartoon character being like, oh, and now I'm going through the rocks that all look like knives. Like,
Oh, I think I'm finally safe. Is that a giant octopus?
that is insane.
With a gun?
Oh, that poor man. I mean, he survived, so that's like cool on him. And apparently, they didn't really say like he had any broken bones or anything. They just said he had some, frowny face problems.
Yeah.
Well, it said that he had trauma.
Well, yeah. But
And I think you're absolutely right. Like the nerve damage from
100%.
the
cold, the fire, the explosion, the impact, the boiling rapids, literally anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, it was just a wild story, but I think it perfectly encapsulates like this time in history and kind of sets up for like this was just the kind of shit that happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is not a one-off story. I mean, maybe Amos is a little bit of a one-off
He might
story.
be a little
Sure.
bit lucky in some cases, very unlucky in others.
Yeah.
Right. So the Whitefish Point Light Station was established by Congress in 1849, making it the oldest operating lighthouse on Lake Superior today. The present light tower was constructed in 1861, which was during Abraham Lincoln's administration.
Wow.
Oh.
Right. So today, the grounds of the Whitefish Point Light Station also house the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum, which is because you had brought up that there's one on Mackinac.
It's very small, but
Yeah.
yes, it's worth going to, but very, very, very small.
Right. Dude, Whitefish Point is like, so,
You've been there, right?
oh yeah, I went in
Okay.
like,
I don't think I've ever gone to Whitefish Point. I've gone to the UP. I've gone up to like to Quamanaw Falls, but I've never gone quite up to Whitefish Point.
so it's like very close. And we'll have to do that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we'll have to go up there because I haven't been there in like 6 years and I'd love to go again.
I've never been there.
But actually, so where we stayed, which is in a very small town called Paradise.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I know of Paradise.
So Paradise is like 20 minutes away from Tequamanon Falls, which is a beautiful state park.
Yes.
And then, so it's like 20 minutes east of Tequamanon and 20 minutes south of Whitefish Point.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than 20 minutes now that I'm thinking about it. But either way, it's close.
Neil's miles in time, I always just double it.
I was going to say,
He
it's like
always thinks things are faster
such
than
like
they
a
are.
Midwestern thing where it's like, no, nothing's more than like 15, 20 minutes away.
Literally, and then 45 minutes go by, and I'm like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I just know for a fact that if Neil tells me it's 20 minutes, it's at least 40
That's fair.
every time.
I have a problem with time. It's
Listen,
fine.
you know exactly where you're going time's just not your friend.
That is true. That is very true. So yeah, so it houses like there's the lighthouse, there's a museum of like the grounds house kind of thing. Then there's the Shipwreck Museum, which is a separate building. There's like
This is like exactly the copy of the one that's in Mackinac.
Oh,
It's
really?
the lighthouse, and then you learn about the lighthouse and the house that went with it and how the people did it. And then there's another building that has the shipwreck. Again, the shipwreck one was very small, but
right.
which I'm sure like there's shipwrecks everywhere in Michigan, so there's
Legit.
going to be a lot of them. But
No, absolutely. It's very cool. A really nice spot for like, I mean, it's like very mild dark tourism, but it's still pretty cool and definitely worth going to check out.
oh yeah,
So let's get into shipwrecks of Whitefish Point, right? So Dan,
me.
yeah, I am going to have you read the story of the Western Reserve.
Okay, goodness. All right, I'm gonna do it. The story of the Western Reserve is more than just a shipwreck. It is a literal nightmare. In August of 1892, Benjamin Trudell, a ship's captain, awoke from a terrible nightmare that their sister ship had sunk in Lake Superior. It was true. The Western Reserve sank sailing across Lake Superior when its mast collapsed onto its deck. It fell beneath the dark Lake Superior seas about 60 miles offshore, a little west of Whitefish Point, taking with it 26 of its 27 occupants. That's
Yeah.
also, it does say Lake Superior seas, so I guess the lakes do count as seas. Just saying. Moving on. According to the reports of the lone survivor, 24-year-old Henry Stewart,
Yeah.
Harry W. Stewart, of Elgin, Michigan, a gale, like a storm they say, had been building and became quite severe, but nothing the vessel shouldn't have been able to handle. When a crack appeared on her deck, the crack quickly widened and the passengers and crew took to the yawl boats.
Yeah, so I had to look up what a yawl boat was because I was thinking, oh, it's probably just like a normal, like emergency boat, right?
Y'all get in here.
Y'all, yeah,
Yeah, like,
stand for
y'all.
y'all get in here. We're
it's
a little
emergency.
too far north for that, but so yawl boats, which is YAWL, they were the safety rafts, but they were two-masted sailboats, like the logo for St. Clair Shores.
There were sailboats.
Yeah, we
And those were
literally
wait, where were they hooked up to? How does that work?
the side of the like ship.
Huh.
They had two of them.
Oh, I guess two would make sense then. I mean, you wouldn't need like 100 lifeboats. You'd only need
Well,
two.
there's only 27 occupants on it, right?
That is also true. But I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't need that many lifeboats. You would only need those two backup boats. They're backup boats.
Right.
why.
Right. No, it's funny because we literally saw one of these yawl boats
Today.
Today.
I pointed it out. I was like, look at that. St. Clair Shores.
On Lake St. Clair, yeah.
In 10 minutes, the Western Reserve had gone beneath the rolling waves to the bottom of Lake Superior in 600 feet of water. This happened about 60 miles northwest of Whitefish Point and 35 miles northwest of Deer Park at 9 p.m. The evening of Tuesday, August 30th, a day before my birthday.
It is. That's why I gave you the story.
Though 27 persons from the freighter made it into the yawl boats, one of the yawls soon collapsed, spilling the occupants into the water. Only 2 survivors were picked up by the remaining yawl, which was then dangerously overloaded. At 7 a.m., about 1 mile offshore near Deer Park, Michigan, the surf capsized the remaining yawl. All occupants except Stewart, who was an expert swimmer, drowned. Stewart swam for 2 hours, then struggled through the wilderness to the life station 12 miles distant. That's insane. Sorry, I keep saying insane. He related that they may have been saved if the yawl carried torches as they had sighted the lights of a passing vessel. Ooh, that's sad. Okay, subsequent beach patrols picked up the bodies of 16 people, including the ship's captain Minch and 4 members of his family that had joined their fateful voyage. One account from the same night claims that the station keeper saw the spirit of the ship's owner, who died in the wreck. Some say they still see the reserve sailing the seas of Lake Superior and have heard ghostly voices and laughter from the lost crew near the shipwreck site.
Yeah, so wild stuff. Okay, so first off, our boy, what's his name?
One survivor. I had read it.
Stuart.
Stuart.
Dude, Stuart, I mean,
Swimming.
he's no Amos.
No, he didn't get flung into the air and then went down the
Amos
boiling
flung down
rapids.
He was flung down it. Dude, but Stuart put in the work, though.
Dude, yeah. To go friggin' 2 miles swimming. And, like, I assume, like, in Lake Superior and stuff, like, that's a huge lake. I'm sure he was against currents and everything. Like,
And
that's
it's
not an
so-
easy swim.
And it's so cold.
Well, in that,
So cold. Good news, it was August.
So cold.
Oh, it's still cold, but at least you got, like, you know, heat pounding on you.
right. Well, and that's the whole thing too, though, is that like, so if you think about it this way, right? He's at 9 p.m., right?
Yeah.
So 9 p.m., the ship goes down and they get into the yawls. And then like soon after, one of them capsizes.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, well, we only found 2 of them. We'll bring them on this one, but we're already to capacity.
Yeah.
Which it's crazy that 2 people puts you over capacity on a boat, which, like, I get logistically, like, you do have a breaking point. But I'm like, it's 2 people and you're a full boat. What do you mean?
Right. But from the time they go down, it's now been 10 hours on a sailboat overnight that is like whatever. And then that boat goes down and they are still miles from shore.
Yeah.
The worst is that they could have been saved,
Right.
but they didn't have any fire. Because you know what? Boats and fire don't usually mix. If you don't have it, you die. If you have it, you catch on fire and die. It's absurd.
That does feel like a trope I've seen in horror movies when it is something like this, you know, either on the water or in the wilderness and you see the lights of something else and, you know, somebody's stuck in the water and they're like, if only we could signal. And this is like a real case of that, like a real documented case. And so
Well, you'd think the backup boats would have some well, I mean, I guess it's the 1800s. I guess it's hard to.
It's like they didn't exactly
Light
have
stuff
flare
on?
guns back then.
Yeah, but didn't they have like things kind of ready, like, you know, torches and stuff? But like, didn't they have like highly like flammable things that were kind of used for that?
that's,
I mean, maybe it wasn't like enough, you know, wasn't quick enough or whatever.
right. No.
But then I'm like, how do things catch on fire on a boat? It's wet.
Oh.
What?
I just went to go look up when flare guns were invented. What year did this happen? 1855. Darn. 4 years. The first flare guns for signaling were developed and patented in 1859.
Rough.
Well, they must have had like something equivalent.
Well,
to
yeah, they definitely
flare
did.
gun.
But I was just trying to figure out when the like more
Actual
modern
flare
version
gun, yeah.
happened.
Right.
And I was like,
I'm sure they had like really like, you know, easy lit, you know, gunpowder, fucking like torches and stuff.
yeah.
But again, when everything is like, you know, falling apart, kind of hard to grab that. And then also like if you're in the water, what are you going to do with it then?
Sure.
So I understand it, but I'm also like, because like I guess it wasn't going down when the ship was going by. They just didn't have anything to like
Well, no,
get
and
their
like
attention.
imagine how terrifying that is if you're out on a boat in the middle of this massive lake and it is going down. You cannot see shore.
It is dark.
It is the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The water is freezing. That's so scary.
Like you think because it's a lake that you're like, well, 10 hours, how are you still in the lake? Like you can't even see where you're going.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Terrifying.
That's it too. I mean, they note that like Stuart was an expert swimmer, but I feel, you know, obviously a 2-mile swim for most people would be a taxing thing to do. I just feel like some of these guys should have been better swimmers.
You should have had at least one thing that floated.
Right. Something.
Like-
something.
You're on a boat. Doesn't something of the boat float?
Do you think one of those guys who drowned was Manihque's boyfriend?
He was on this boat this time.
That's
Dun,
how they'll
dun.
hit it off, as neither of them could swim.
Dun dun.
Poor Manique. She'll never be out of Neil's fucking grasp.
Darn.
It's crazy. Not even one hail. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bale. Thank you. seizure. Not even one hay bale.
Not even one hail bell.
Not even one hay bale. Not even one hay bale for him to grab onto, and he just swam all the way home.
So, yeah, no.
And then 12 miles through nature.
Whenever
Right.
I try to think about what would happen if I was just like stranded in the middle of a body of water, I always think like, well, I'll just float on my back.
Yeah.
And whatever happens. It's not like we have sharks. I guess I'll just be
Got some sea
here.
lampreys now, though.
Shut up.
They're terrifying. I'm
Well,
scared.
and that's like what's wild to me too is like, okay, so we have an idea of like where the ship went down, or records have an idea of where the ship went down, but that's just the main ship. We don't know where exactly the yawls capsized. And so I'm wondering if he had to walk 12 miles to the station, right? It's called a life-saving station, and they're kind of like the Coast Guard, right? But he's going through the wilderness because, I mean, it is...
I don't even know which way to go.
That's what I'm saying, though. Did he like take a left and like 1 mile to his right there was a dead one? You know, like, yeah, because that's the whole thing. Is
Stories like that upset me to no end.
Right.
If you want me to be irrationally angry, you point out in a story that someone died or someone like had to go through so much hardship, and it was right next to them.
right.
Oh my God, the rage.
Because that's the whole thing is these like life-saving stations. There's like Deer Park, and then there's one called Vermilion that's about like 23 miles away from it.
That's too far. They need to
And
get
then-
5 feet. Don't make me walk that.
About-
I need to be saved.
They're about like 25 miles apart. So like he may have been dead smack in the middle and knew where he was.
Yeah.
But
When it was daytime, I was going to say, well, maybe he knew with the stars. And then I was like, well, it's day at this point. And I guess you could tell with the sun. I don't know.
Well, and even then, even if it was nighttime, you have to hope that there's no cloud cover.
Well, yeah, that is very true.
well, and that's the whole thing though too, is it's like it's not even like he was walking like a paved road. Because even today, like you go up to the UP up around like Tequamanon and stuff, and there's like some like 2-lane highways and, you know, like a little downtown area in Paradise, and like where there's more.
Everything closes at 4:30 sharp.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Not a good place for us.
But
Right.
like beyond that, it is wilderness.
Yeah.
It is still
You know what I
today.
just thought of and it actually freaked me out? Yeah, we don't have sharks. That's not something we have to worry about. If we're floating in Lake Superior, just hoping that we get a current that takes us home, a bear could come out of nowhere in that water. That is a actual logical fear you can have.
A bear or a moose.
A moose too, yes, definitely. You don't want to run into those, but like a bit. Could you imagine going through all this hardship and you're just floating, hoping that you'll make it to shore, and you look over and there's a bear coming at you? I would decease right then
I'd be
and
done.
evaporate.
I wonder. That's not something I looked into, but I do wonder like if they can account for any like animal attacks in the water.
That's gotta be the stupidest statistic. Not really, but
Yeah.
like, that's just like
A bear
Oh,
goddess.
here's our list of here's our like numbers for bear attacks up north in the last like year. Several of these were in the water.
Dude, they're in the water all the time. I said that.
Several of
the
these
other time,
attacks
you know?
were in the middle of the lake, and we don't have statistics for those.
I would
Well,
assume
I
a
do-
bear isn't really hunting if it's swimming, you know? Like it's just moving, but I don't know. And a bear can stand in a lot deeper water than I can, so I could be floating thinking that it's really deep, but the bear just stands up.
Well, and it makes me think back to Amos, like, my ship, I flung out it. And then all of a sudden, like, oh no, not the boiling area of water. Oh, I guess I'm fine. A bear!
Well, that's the 12 miles that he has to hike then when he is exhausted and tired and probably cold, even though, and then hot because it's August.
Right.
But like, and the humidity, the mosquitoes, deceased.
If homie had a bicycle, he almost did a triathlon.
Honestly.
I'm gonna have to tell Zachary, hey, you and your marathon running, try this.
Yeah,
Float
right.
out it and then you do 12 miles. I'm combining them, I know, but it works.
No, legit. So, okay, so I mentioned that the Vermilion life-saving station was between Deer Park, which is where Harry Stewart found his way to, and Whitefish Point. There's a good ghost story that comes out of this Vermilion Station as we work our way back to Whitefish Point.
Okay.
And it is called The Ghost of Three Fingers Riley. Ooh. All right. So supposedly a victim of shipwreck, never heard of her, Riley was found frozen in the ice near the Vermilion Station, and a careless surfman being like a guy who...
Yeah,
Coast Guard
tubular,
guy.
got it.
Yeah, tubular. Just gonna hit these waves of Lake Superior, bro.
Hey, man, he is chill.
Right. So a careless surfman cut off one of Riley's fingers while chopping his body out of the ice. So it is said Riley was dead.
Okay. Yeah.
So he didn't feel missing a finger. But it is said Riley walks the barren beach at night searching for his finger.
Wait, why does he only have 3 fingers?
Well, because they're not counting a thumb. A thumb's not in this story.
Okay, I was like...
In the way the legend's told, it's 3... so he's 3 fingers and a thumb, Riley.
It's not as catchy, but I get it.
Right. Or 7 fingers and 2 thumbs, Riley. Which is, yeah. Okay, so somebody cut off his finger. He searches for it. They say that sometimes you can hear Riley walking right behind you in the darkness. And sometimes he will reach out his bloody hand and tap you on the shoulder. So they have records, right? They have actual records from Vermilion, which indicates that a surfman did chop out a frozen body with an axe around that time. And the sailor's name that he chopped out of the ice was William J. Riley.
Damn.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah.
We got some actual history lining up.
Exactly. So, and this was, after this became like a known ghost tale, somebody looked it up and they found like, oh yeah, no, this is something that happened to a body.
That's a real guy.
In the story, like the actual like proof of it, does it say anything about his finger?
Yeah. It says that. No, maybe not. I don't know.
Because he chopped him out of the ice, and I mean, like, I guess if he's already dead, like, why are we writing down that, oh, well, this guy went accidentally? Because he's probably...
was like that when I found it.
Dude, if I was him, I'd be like, listen, man, I was trying really hard. It's cold. I slipped. He did... I'll give it back. Like, what do you want me to do? It fell in the water.
It sounds so goofy, but I can understand how, like, in the right context, and especially as like a campfire story, and if you're already in the UP, you're just like hanging out and you're telling stories, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, do you guys hear that?
My gloves look stupid now.
I like that you leaned back because you knew you're like, no, this is how it needs to be presented.
Dude, that wasn't me. Did you hear that?
Riley's here.
Did you fucking hear that?
For some reason, my one finger just feels very tingly.
Mr. Riley.
Fingerless gloves, real funny, guys.
Mr. Riley, if you're out there, please don't be upset with us. Listen, you're in the mitten. Get some mitten.
No, they won't even know. They wouldn't know.
No one has to know.
You don't get fingered gloves. You just get mittens. They will have no clue. I mean, I guess if you're a ghost and your hand is like always bleeding, maybe.
Mittens are for babies.
What the fuck was that?
Riley, if you wore mittens, maybe your hands wouldn't be so cold and get your finger chopped off.
It's almost like we can hear him.
Well, weirdly enough, I didn't know you were a conduit. Conduit? Yeah, that was right.
Quit telling everyone I only have 3 fingers.
I have a thumb.
That was crazy.
That's wild. He is in the
You
burn.
heard that here, guys.
3 fingers Riley. And that's an exclusive for this podcast. That's a Dead Pines Archives exclusive.
Yes,
3 fingers Riley.
Whoop, whoop.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. 3 fingers Riley coming at you live.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Riley was stuck in the ice, and weather, as we've talked about, is a huge contributing factor to a lot of these shipwrecks. It's referred to as the Witch of November. And though not an actual witch, these powerful and deadly storms that sweep across Lake Superior, especially in November, are often personified as a malevolent force bringing misfortune to any ship caught in their path. A great example, to bring it back to the most famous Edmund Fitzgerald, sunk during one of these November storms. And in the famous Gordon Lightfoot ballad, he refers to the Witch of November come stealing. Which brings us back, see what I did there, to Whitefish Point. So those 200 plus shipwrecks have earned its waters the moniker of the graveyard of the Great Lakes. Right? And in these buildings, we already talked about how this is the oldest standing lighthouse on Lake Superior, which means it's been around since these ships were going down, right? Inside the grounds of Whitefish Point Lighthouse and museums and everything that's on the grounds, visitors and staff have reported ghost sightings. Not just one ghost, right? They've seen an indigenous little girl from like times gone by, has been seen inside and outside the main museum building, as well as in the gift shop office building and the old fog house.
She gets around.
Yes, she's all over the grounds.
Good for her.
They've seen another young girl in old-timey clothing who's been reported wandering the grounds. That one we're going to come back to.
I hope they're friends.
They've seen a woman in 1890s dress that has been spotted standing on the gallery just outside of the Light Tower lamp room, which is there's a walkway from like the main quarters to the light tower that like goes outside, right?
Nice.
So that's where they're saying they've seen this woman. So the life-saving service patrols that we've talked about reportedly found bodies rolling in the waves after every big storm outside Whitefish Point, and even more were chopped out of the translucent winter ice. Riley?
Oh my god.
What kind of hell?
The workers carried the bodies to unrecorded graves behind the dunes, because it's right on a beach, behind the dunes to bury them in the cold sand.
I mean, you can't bury them in the dirt when it's so cold.
Right. So what else are you going to do? But that whole beach
It's just
unmarked
bodies?
graves.
I would.
It's a beautiful beach.
I was gonna say I would love to see it, but then also I would not want to step on it.
Oh, it's
That just feels rude.
I didn't know this when I went there.
I don't
And
think
love
most
that
people
beach.
do.
So in 2007, a group of paranormal researchers stayed the night at the lighthouse, and they recorded numerous unexplained voices, and a handful experienced the feeling of a ghost passing right by them. They kind of like, they described it as a kind of like a whoosh that they felt, right? An article from 2008 recounts one reporter's stay at Whitefish Point Lighthouse, where numerous people simultaneously reported doors opening in their rooms at 6 a.m. Closet doors, the door to the room.
Here's the thing. I would not be able to report that because there's no way I'd wake up at 6 a.m. There's no way. I'd have no clue this happened.
I think it was like it woke them up, and like
Good luck.
because it was like a closet door or something in some rooms, and then it was like the next morning at breakfast, they're all standing around like, "Oh, did anything happen?" And one person's like, "At 6 a.m., my closet door swung open." They're like, "The room to our door swung open, or the door to our room swung open at 6 a.m." And like, there were like 5 people who experienced this.
I feel like they'd look at me and be like, "Did you experience this?" And be like, "I don't remember if I left the doors open or closed, and I woke up at noon." So
That's
it's your guess or mine.
They also experienced pounding on the walls throughout the night,
No, that I would know.
and a friendly touch of a ghostly presence.
No.
I know friendly sounds like a weird descriptor, but it was like they described it as gentle strokes on their backs and faces.
That makes it worse.
Yeah.
Friendly,
wanna, like-
friendly is like, oh, I got a little tap on my shoulder. If you are, if the word is stroking has been used, no.
Describe the ghost. How many fingers did he have?
Did Riley just possess you again? He wants to make this very important.
I would never.
Yeah, like I said, I would be asleep during the morning, especially if I was up all night because of ghosts, and I finally fell asleep. But the knocking on the walls and like someone caressing something, ew, no. Get out of my room. I paid for this.
I paid for this. I paid to be here. So there is one piece of evidence to this that I'm going to share with you in a moment, and we're going to get your reaction to.
Okay.
In 2011, Motor City Ghost Hunters posted a video of what appears to be a little girl walking through an upstairs room in the lightkeeper's house.
Okay.
And this is that little girl we talked about, the people.
But I hope she's friends with the other little girl. At least do something in your afterlife, you know?
So this is the clip.
It's a drawing.
To watch was captured by the Motor City Ghost Hunters whilst investigating the old lighthouse at Whitefish Point in Michigan.
That bitch moves too fucking fast.
Well, they changed it. Why is it later now?
I think they were just like zooming in and they're enhancing. It's that like enhance, but it's footage
Enhanced,
from
but it's-
2013. So you
Which I'm
can't-
like, 2013, we had better cameras than this, but that is very suspicious.
No, she moves too fucking fast.
She's a child. They're full of energy.
Cool. Who gave her rollerblades?
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't love that.
No, yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh boy.
That's
Yeah. At first, I thought it was literally like a car light or something driving by, and then Kelly gasped, and I was like,
Listen,
"Oh, it's a ghost."
I'm a simple lady. You show me something that's in green night vision, and I'm gonna be very tense.
Dude, you know what's really crazy is I think about night vision a lot because I just think it's like an interesting thing. I don't quite understand how it works. We don't need to get into that tonight. But it's weird that like my camera that I have does not go into night vision. And I want to know why. Because there were cheap, stupid old ones that couldn't even have like more than like 20 pixels on the whole camera, and they can go into night vision. So why can't my nice camera go into night vision?
Dude, the video camera that I used in high school that I still have, and I keep thinking about bringing it out of retirement because like all I need to do is go online and get a replacement like charging cord for it and like a couple extra tapes. Like that thing has night vision. I got that thing in like
Absurd.
2007.
Absurd. It takes tapes.
Yeah.
And it can go into night vision, but my camera can't. My phone can't either.
Yeah, the
They
best
have
you
the
can
fake
do
apps that you can download. Like,
I was gonna
go
say-
into night vision. I'm like, that's not how that works. You can't just have an app do it.
A, fuck you, and B, you're just inverting it. Inverted is not the same as night vision.
I get really intense about that, but no, when something's in night vision, I automatically am a little bit freaked out.
So for listeners, we will link that video, but can you two describe what you saw in the video?
Yeah, I mean, it looked kind of like a weird rectangle that like was like a light, and it kind of came into frame, and it was like there for a second, and then it looked kind of like ran away. And I feel like how it moved made me feel like it looked like it felt like a child's movement, and like the legs. I
Yeah.
feel like I saw legs, but I don't, you know what I mean? It was very pixelated, but
It definitely felt like that thing that a lot of people do that have ever taken any sort of interest in paranormal findings, whether it's like documentaries or found footage movies or just anything where like your brain tries to like fill in the gaps to make it more recognizable for what it is. Because yes, it could look like a rectangle, but like what my brain was doing while I was watching it was doing that thing and being like, yes, a child in a long night dress.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Because like I can see where people are like, oh, Victorian child in
Yeah.
a nightgown, but
Yeah.
also like, you know, kid in an oversized promotional t-shirt. But
they're wearing a mini Quay shirt? Weird.
did that shirt say Quasi for Quay?
I hate this.
It should, and you'll be able to pick one up soon.
No. I will not endorse this.
I would rather say justice for Joe's parents than anything else.
Yeah.
Son of a strawberry.
Son of a strawberry
I would
picnic.
actually
And
love
it's
the
just
shirt that's
It's just a
that.
picture of Rolf from that.
Well, legally no, but close enough.
you know. Just Joey.
Just Joey
Just Joe.
living his life.
That's just a bear.
That y'all are dumb. That's just a bear.
So that's what I got for Whitefish Point.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, like, that is terrifying. And I do think that if I had ever been on that beach, especially, and then found out that there were a bunch of bodies there, I wonder if they're still, like, there, you know? Because, like, sand moves a lot.
Right. So they said they buried them like behind the dunes. So like not necessarily like the beach.
Yeah, but it's still
But-
sand.
Exactly. And, you know, there's still kind of a tide, even though it's a lake.
Yeah. Well, I know like I think it's the Sleeping Bear Dunes. I know that because of the wind and like the deforestation and stuff or whatever, there's like houses and stuff that were off the coast, but now they are completely like consumed by the sand. So like it's moving inward. So I guess it would have covered the bodies more that way. But like depending on how the wind's blowing and where all this location is, like I just wondered, like, do they just come across a skeleton once in a while on the beach?
Well, and it makes you wonder, too, how deep the sand at beaches goes. Because, like, the sand most of the time is just sitting on top of other, like, thicker layers of, like, sediment and whatnot. But, like, sometimes, and I have to remind myself of that because sometimes if I'm standing on a beach, I'll be like, what's stopping me from just falling in?
Well, I mean, they always say, like, you shouldn't, like, dig out too much sand because then, like, you can hit a thing and then you'll go down and the sand will collapse on you and you'll literally suffocate. Is my biggest fear as a kid because I first
Anybody that listens to this in the summer, I hope it's really fun for you, and I hope you take your kids to the beach and have a great time.
Yeah, just don't bury things up to a kid's neck. Then you'll be fine.
I mean, you can go home if you don't want to have fun. I don't know.
Kelly, I'm sorry. I was brought up to know that if you did that, you died. You know my family.
That's
I was gonna say my parents gave me no such warning. So.
Oh, I thought it was death if I dug too far into the sand.
No, they just wanted me to play outside. Anyway,
Mine too, but they wanted me to never be able to go without anxiety meds for the rest of my life.
That's yeah.
They worked for Big Pharma. No, I'm kidding.
They worked for big. My parents were both drug representatives. Oh God, the American healthcare system. Am I right?
Yeah, no.
So to summarize, Whitefish Point, whether or not you believe in the tales of ghostly apparitions, phantom ships, or echoes of voices lost to the waves, the shipwrecks near Whitefish Point stand as a chilling reminder. Nature is vast, powerful, and utterly indifferent. And when human flaws tip the balance, it answers with cold and merciless finality. Ooh.
thank you for the research, Neil.
Yeah, no, dude, that was a whole bunch, and I can't wait to like break down even more of that.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
I mean,
really
this
know
is
that.
just a very, like, topical,
Yeah, no, it's a good
omitting
starting point
so
with that.
much. But yeah, Whitefish Point being somewhere I love and have been was where I wanted to start. But like I said, there's so much going on up there. And there's a ghost town right outside of Whitefish Point.
There's so many ghost towns in the UP.
Yeah.
There's so many, and I'm a little bit scared of them.
Well, we don't have to worry about running out of content anytime soon. So
Yeah, you can just literally be like, all right, guess we're just Whitefish Point now forever.
Right.
3 episodes in, and this is what we're branded as now. Probably a lot of stories off the water, though,
100%.
because we've already got 3. One was a smaller lake, but lake monster, lake ghost, another lake ghost. They're not all lake ghosts, but they might be.
The lakes, I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, we're in Michigan right now, which we will expand from at some point, but there's so much to mine from, like in the state, and of course it's going to be like we're the Great Lakes state. There's going to be a lot to do with the lakes.
Well, I do assume if we're ever doing another, state that's like, a desert, it's going to be a lot of desert deaths. Like it's just kind of what happens. You go any colder, and I feel like, well, the people are going to freeze.
Yep.
But yeah, that would be our podcast for today. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed Whitefish Point and all the spooky tales and ridiculousness of men being blown into the sky and then into boiling rapids and then a bear. And yeah, so I'm Dan.
I'm Neil.
I'm Kelly.
And where's our friend of the show?
At the glove store.
Thank you, Riley.
Oh my gosh. And if you want to send Three Fingers Riley a new pair of gloves, he would greatly appreciate it.
And yeah, that's our show. We are Dead Pine Archives, and thank you for joining us. Can't wait to hear from you next time.
So again, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to hear more about the upcoming stories and spectacles and specters and spookies that are going to be covered, then be sure to like, follow, subscribe, etc., etc. Find us on our socials, and there will be memes, there will be drawings, and there will be scary things. Oh my God, there will be blood.
I mean, probably.
Yeah, probably.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.